Welcome, MGEU. Woohoo! Convention 2018. Who'd have thunk those years have gone by so fast? Just want to welcome everyone and say good evening. Welcome to the 2018 MGEU Convention. And I do want to start off by acknowledging that we are on Treaty 1 territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, as well as the homeland of the Métis Nation. And I would like now to introduce Karen Dana and Harry Harvey, who will be performing our national anthem and Solidarity Forever. Could everyone please rise?
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. With the union's inspiration, through the workers' blood shall run. There can be no greater power anywhere beneath the sun. And what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of railroad lane. Now we stand outcast and starving, miss the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. It had taken untold millions that they never told to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single will burn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We can sing the birth of new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
We want to give a big round of applause, please, to both Karen and Harry, who've entertained us as we came in and sang our songs with us. And they are part of the labor movement. So thank you, brother and sister. Thank you so much. And now I have the great honor of welcoming Elder Barbara Nipanak for our opening prayer and to present her with this tobacco.
Thank you, Miigwech. Welcome to the land of my ancestors, the homeland of the Métis and Inuit and of the settlers. It's always an honor to be invited to come and do a prayer for you and for your community and for your efforts and for your mission in life. I also like to personally thank Kathy. She's always given me such honor and always treat me with respect and asking me to come to events like this. Because I too was a lifer as a union paying member. I served with the federal government for 35 years. So I am a survivor. I always say, if I can do it, so can you. And retirement is wonderful, let me tell you. I'm never home. This is actually my second event tonight. And thank you for inviting me to be here. Tobacco is one of our sacred medicines that we use in our ceremonies and in keeping with protocol. Tobacco was given to me today so I could do the prayer. And so that's what I will do. It is an honor to be here. And it's so encouraging to see all of you here. I pray in my language. I come from an oral tradition. I grew up in a family of 9 girls and 2 brothers. And as a child, my mother always used to say to us, one day when you're a grandmother, you're going to share this. You're going to pray for others. People are going to call you. And as a child, I thought that was so funny. I used to think, who's going to call me to come and say a prayer? Well, guess what? This is my second for tonight. My traditional name is Tu Thunderbird Woman, and I'm Bear Clan. And I pray in my language. In my language, I pray for guidance and strength and power to people, and to be able to carry on in a good life, and to be able to pray for people that are sick, people that are suffering from addictions, people that are homeless, but most importantly, people that have a passion to help others. That's what I pray for. And I know we all have a good heart, and we all want to do the right thing. And I always want to do the right thing. So when I am asked to do a prayer, that's what I pray for, is people like yourselves and your family and your extended family, and how we come together as different nations, different walks of life. And we should cherish that, because in some of my travels in other countries, we don't see that. So thank you for inviting me to be here. So with that, I'll do my prayer now. Ani jubinesi kwende go makondo de. Migani na magib meshi na mawan wa sema chip megahi kitwan nichko magahi me na komet chibisha anama. Ambega go kwapshke kamagi ka kitabiot kevino. Ko khata kitwak go no kiot. Bida shege shamane to esha baga sendamok. Shawene mishnam wa bandeshinam anin chanje zogis yang monje. Ambega chiwichi tiang. Ambega minoteche ka khanun tiang. Kachina and I with the Edgekatuan. Chimamon young way by Bakan Nation, I was young, by Bakan Aino and Yangara Hikitun. But the Shaggy Shamanito no go measure book of cinnamon, Shawena Mishnam, Wabandashinam, Minup Madisiwin, and Begay up in one chick, Kosiot, Siag the Magaziot, Kitchen Schnabenanik. Miigwata nongom kishamana to wawishi pakustentaman. Kichina no ikshkatuamina much megahi to kishamanito. Miigwest deket nonga gishuk, and to all my relations, welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say a special thank you to Elder Barb. Thank you so very, very much. And I would like to present you with just a little token, if I may. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you again so much. All right. And Kathy Woods, for those that don't know her, is actually our Aboriginal liaison with the MGEU. We're very proud to have Kathy with us. She does an amazing job. So thank you both. Thank you. This is exciting. Sorry, guys, I've been waiting for this for 6 months now. I'm so excited that everybody's here. I am now going to very proudly introduce our head table, and I'm going to start with our current provincial officers. To my right, I have our first Vice President, Mr. Wayne Shacken, who also serves as our Constitution and Bylaws Committee Chair. Brother Wayne. Our second Vice President is Doug Troke, who also serves as the Chair of the MGEU Finance Committee. Brother Doug. And our third Vice President is Shelley Wiggins, who serves as the Chair of the Membership Education Committee. Sister Shelley. And our fourth Vice President, Charlotte McWilliams, who is the Chair of the Safety, Health and Environment Committee. Sister Charlotte. And it is with absolute great pride that we have our past President, Brother Peter Offord, as our parliamentarian once again. Brother Peter. Woohoo! Okay, thank you. So Peter was the longest-serving MGEU president, serving our members for 24 years. Peter led us through the last Conservative government in the 90s, and we value his knowledge, experience, and we're proud to have him with us once again. And I'll tell you, we tap in a lot. So, Brother Peter. So, and I'm going to go to my far left. I have Holly Mamcher. She is the Executive Assistant to the President, and she will be recording minutes throughout the convention. This special welcome. Thank you, Holly. And beside Holly, we have Janet Kaler, who is the Director of Member Services. Janet. Beside me, I have Brenda Hasuk, who is part of our communications folks, and she's going to make sure that I'm trying to stay on time and that all of the stuff you're seeing on the screen and all of the communication stuff is working well. So thank you very, very much for that. They're not expecting this, but I think I'm going to put them both on the spot. We have in the back of the room, we have two other directors with us. We have Sheila Gordon, our Director of Negotiations. Sheila. And we have Jean-Guy Bourgeois, who is our Director of Operations. Thank you very much for being here with us. And I'll tell you, the board is very grateful that we have such a strong crew that actually help us and lead us and get the information we need to make the decisions in between conventions for you. So thank you for that. Going through these sheets awful quick. I would ask that all of our component directors and our area directors stand and give a wave. So I'm asking for the rest of the board members that are with us tonight, please stand and be acknowledged for all the work you have done over the last couple of years. Greatest team ever, I'll tell you. And now I would ask that we all stand in a moment of silence for our sisters and brothers that have passed since our last convention. Thank you so much. You may be seated. And now it is time to introduce our first presenter for Convention of 2018, Basa Sokol. Basa is the current president of the Winnipeg Labour Council and proud member of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, Cup W, Local 856. She started her activism early on, working at a superstore as a member of the United Food and Commercial Workers, UFCW, Local 832. She was also treasurer of the Community Unemployed Help Center, Labour chair on the United Way Winnipeg campaign, the Labour representative on the North End Community Renewal Corporation, Prairie Regional Labour Council representative at the Canadian Council of the CLC, and a member of the Provincial and Federal Council of the NDP. God, I wonder what she does in her spare time. Basha, it's my pleasure to invite you to the podium, please, to say a few words.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, and thank you to everybody for being here. It is my pleasure and my honor to see so many folks here after October 17th, also known as Weed Wednesday. I hope I can make that joke. But more so, I want to thank all of you in the room today for all the services that you provide. As a member of CUPW and civil servant, somebody that is proud of the public services that we provide, it is every one of you in this room that makes this province possible, so I think that we should give all of you a round of applause. So thank you very much. I want to encourage all of you to consider that your position here today and your presence here today is part of the leadership that you provide. This weekend you'll take part in your convention, and I understand there's many elections happening. But there's actually elections happening all across Manitoba, and that's what I wanted to talk to you folks a little bit about today in the short time I have, is to make sure that you participate in the democracy and make sure that you have your voice heard. Each one of you here is responsible to bring your voice forward from the areas that you represent and to make sure that your voice is heard through your vote. So when you leave here from convention this weekend, I encourage you all to get involved in your municipalities. There are elections happening on October 24th all across Manitoba, whether you're in Winnipeg, you're in Brandon, or if you're anywhere in the province. So I encourage you all to take advantage of the voices that you have, especially for those of us that didn't always have a voice. Women haven't always had the voice of the vote, and especially those Indigenous women haven't always had the voice of their vote. So I encourage you all to please participate in the democratic process, be it here today, on the election day next week on the 24th, and especially coming into a provincial election and the federal election that will be following next year. Our jobs rely on a government that can listen to us, and the only way they'll listen to us is if we provide our voices and our votes and make sure that we can maintain a strong public service, because that's what we should all have in this province and in this country. So thank you very much. I encourage you all to participate this weekend and have a great convention, and thanks for having me. Oh, that's amazing.
Thought that would be kind of special.
I can see that.
So we have the plaque, the Winnipeg Strike of 1919, and that's what we're giving out as gifts to our speakers. So thank you.
Thank you. That's really cool. Thank you so much.
And Basa, thank you for your strong leadership here in Winnipeg as well. Hey, Darla. Moving right along, our next presenter, another very strong woman in the labor movement. I'm very proud to know her. A member of Beardy First Nation in Saskatchewan, Darla is the Prairie Regional Director for the Canadian Labour Congress, the CLC. A former Aboriginal Vice President for the Saskatchewan Federation of Labour, she is an experienced facilitator and educator, having co-authored Allotted Unionism on Turtle Island, an intensive workshop dedicated to Aboriginal culture, history, and awareness of Indigenous issues. She is a passionate advocate for a representative workforce and has engaged Saskatchewan governments of all levels in ensuring that the community's workforce resembles its people. Though she maintains the most important politics are local politics, Darla has frequently found herself upon the national and international stages, having been a participant at the Governor-General's Canadian Leadership Conference, as well as at the founding convention for the International Trade Union Confederation. Her passion for education has also led her to assisting in the development of a member training schools in conjunction with the Bermuda Public Services Union. In her spare time, Darla is a committed volunteer with the United Way and the Regina Anti-Poverty Ministry, but appreciates, above all else, time with her lovely daughter, Brittany, and wonderful husband, Terry. So let's give a warm welcome to Darla, please.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for that introduction. And I noticed, I don't know, Baja must have went off the stage, but I noticed Baja came with no notes in hand, and I wish I could do that. I'm trying to get to that where I can speak off the hip, but I'm not able to do that. So I have a few notes with me this evening. So good evening, delegates, and thank you so much to all of you, to the MGEU leadership, Wayne, Michelle, for inviting me and the kind invitation to bring words of greetings, brief greetings, I understand. I know there's a big hook up here, or imaginary hook up here somewhere. That's what they, yeah. So I'll keep it brief, but thank you nonetheless for the invitation. I also want to recognize my brother at the back of the room, your national NUCCI president, Larry Brown. Very, very nice to run into you, Larry, and hopefully we can spend some time together over the next couple of days, and also likewise get to spend some time visiting with old friends in this room, but also making some new friends. There's obviously lots and lots of faces that I do not know, and I'll be around this weekend, well, at least till about noon tomorrow. So if you would like to talk or introduce yourself to me before then, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to meet you. So, like the speakers ahead of me, I definitely have to start as a Indigenous woman. I want to also recognize and acknowledge this gathering here on Treaty 1 territory, a traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Oji-Cree, Dakota, Ojibwe, and Dene's people. This is also, of course, here in Manitoba, this is the homeland for the Métis Nation. We pay respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place, and we reaffirm our relationship with one another. What I find most powerful about the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis way of life are the teachings. There are so many lessons to be learned from the past, and I'm always grateful for the teachings and knowledge that I receive in my travels across not only the Prairie region and the various provinces I get to visit in my capacity with the CLC, but also other travels I've taken even internationally and spoken with other Indigenous people around this world, in fact, and it's I always try and be grateful for those little nuggets, and I try and keep them very close to me. So it's up to us to apply these lessons in the spirit of reconciliation within our labor movement, and I truly believe that. Building a more diverse, more inclusive labor movement really does start with each of us, each person in this room, and of course our broader labor movement across this country. So the theme of your conference is Public Service Proud, and you have so much to be proud of as MGEU members. But I think all of you know that. You could be a little bit biased. Maybe I'm a little bit biased. I really like you guys. So the people in this room know the good, the hard, sometimes exhausting work that your union does every day to defend your members against the relentless attacks of this government. And that's why it's good and necessary to come together in gatherings like this to recharge and to recommit to your work. These gatherings are not only about meeting your constitutional requirements, but more importantly, it affords you an important opportunity to celebrate your achievements, and you certainly do have achievements, MGEU. And I bet we're going to hear over the next course of the next few days, we're going to hear about those achievements. So do not let this mean-spirited government take that away from you, please. Celebrate the important work that you do here in Manitoba to make Manitoba a better, a fairer place for everyone. Don't forget, when you raise the bar for your members, you raise the bar for all. That's the type of mindset and leadership that will get you through these dark days. And I know this government is trying to break your spirit, but you are not going to let that happen. I know that. I know that none of you are going to let that happen, and that you are going to get through this. You are going to continue to be stewards and leaders, and you are going to continue to fight for your members, but again, also fight for your dignity and the dignity of all of your members and all of your citizens of this province. So with that, at this point, this is where I would all of a sudden be like, cue PowerPoint. And I would go into an extensive 15-minute presentation on some of the important work that we're doing at the CLC, but I don't have time for that. So just so I don't get in trouble, because Larry Brown's in the room, I don't want him to, report me or anything. Just kidding. In your kits, we instead of the presentation, which we will do at another point, don't worry, I just want to point out that all of you have been provided a information leaflet. It's called Pharmacare, a plan for everyone. This is a really important campaign that we're engaged in, and that I would ask that you read it over, A, and B, that you take some action as a result of what you have learned. Thank you. Yes. So the long and the short of it is this. We have a broken system in Canada when it comes to pharmacare, when it comes to affordable drugs for all Canadians. And we need to fix that. And we have a way, because we're the labor movement and we are fixers, we have a way to fix the problem. So all of the solutions are in here. I, again, invite you to please read this and then take some action. We have a wonderful interactive website. We have an action center. And so, like I said, please do take some time to read over the information and put your name to the campaign and stay informed. The last thing I will do is I would like to, and I didn't tell him I was doing this, so he's probably not listening right now, but many of you will know that Cindy Murdoch was our regional representative here in Manitoba, her office is right at the Winnipeg Union Centre. She is happily off on maternity leave for the next 18 months, so good for her. And so with that, I did want to just introduce, and I will just have you stand up and wave Bernie. I'd like to introduce Cindy's replacement, Bernie Wood. So he's back there. So Bernie comes to us from the Steelworkers Union and has all sorts of great experience that he brings to the position, and he's a really great guy from the week I've had working with him now. So I'm happy to say that he will be here for the next 18 months. If you have some local meetings, some component meetings where you'd like Bernie to come and do a short presentation, then I invite you to get in touch with him, and he will make that happen. So with that, go Jets and go Riders.
Oh, you are brave. Thank you, Darla. Thank you very, very much.
Awesome.
Please accept that on our behalf.
Thank you
so much. All right. See, I have to be really, really careful with that. I have children that are blue and children that are green, and I do not stand between the two, I'll tell you. Last weekend's game here in Winnipeg was interesting. I sat between the two of my children. One left early. I won't say which one that was wearing the green that left early. Just saying. Bernie, welcome. Congratulations. I got your text, brother, and I'll be in touch on Monday. Okay. Yeah. So, Darla, again, thank you so very much for all your experience and the leadership that you bring to us. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. I am now going to call for an adoption for the minutes from our 2016 convention. Can I get a mover and a seconder? So the minutes for the convention 2016 have been moved and seconded. Am I seeing speakers anywhere? Seeing no speakers at the mics. All in favor of adoption, the minutes of convention 2016. Any opposed? Any abstaining? That is carried. Thank you very, very much. And now I need an adoption for our rules of order. And again, I believe that's this one, right? Yes. I got this. So this that's in your kits, everyone should have it. And I am looking for a mover and a seconder. I have both. Any speakers to the mics? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining? That is carried. Thank you so very, very much. I do want to let you know as well that included in your brown envelope is the Board of Directors report. Please take some time to review it throughout convention. It gives you the big picture sense of what the board and the officers have been busy with on behalf of all members in the past 2 years. If you have any questions about the report, please do not hesitate to come track any of us down and talk to us about it. And now I would like to welcome Janet Kaler to the podium, please. Janet is one of the 3 directors, as we said before, and she will be ensuring that our convention runs smoothly. Janet, no pressure.
Yeah. That sounds like a bit of a tall order. Good evening, everybody. Can I just say, for those who have stood here before, my hat, it tips to you because it always looks so easy when I was sitting in the delegate chair and standing up here. Anyways, in your package, you have a copy of the Rules of Conduct. It's a tab that's actually marked Rules of Conduct, Expected Conduct. And I just want to take a few minutes to go through it with you guys. It's in the second green section of your convention books, really near the front. And it says, the MGEU is committed to maintaining a positive, safe, and healthy environment for all members and staff. Solidarity within our union is based on the principle that we are equal and deserve mutual respect. Any behavior that is disrespectful, intimidating, hostile, or offensive will not be condoned or tolerated. I lost my spot. This behavior includes, but is not limited to, harassment on the basis of race, sex, age, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, and political belief, physical or mental disabilities. So, if you or a staff member or a guest at our MGEU convention feel that you've been disrespected, we would encourage you to let the offending person know that his or her conduct is unacceptable and unwelcomed. If you don't feel comfortable talking with the offending individuals or can't resolve the situation and you'd like to get some support with that or file a formal complaint, please speak with either our Director of Internal Operations, Jean-Guy Bourgeois, and I'll ask you to stand if you would. Everybody sees him waving in the back. Or our Director of Negotiations, Sheila Gordon, who's also waving. If you can't find them and you need some help, you can go to the registration desk and they will help track Sheila or Jean-Guy down. In your package is also, in your policy manual, which is also in your binder, is our entire Respectful Workplace policy, Respectful Workplace and Harassment policy. And we just ask that everybody be mindful that we want to have a respectful and fun event for everybody. Okay, so I'm going to shift gears now. One of my other roles is also to be the elections chairperson, so I want to talk to you a little bit about how we're going to do elections. Delegates will be voting on the provincial officer's position. We will first, and this is on Saturday morning, do the president, the first vice president, then the second vice president, then the third vice president, and fourth vice president. In case your hands are tired already from voting, that's the last time you'll vote with your hands. When we vote for our provincial officers, you will be voting with the ballots that have been included in your package. For those of you that would like, we have 2 balloting stations, one over there and one over there when the time comes on Saturday. Those of you who are wishing to run for a position have to have your nomination papers to me by noon Friday. I have copies of those with me if you can find me around the event. If you can't, we do have copies of those papers at the registration desk. But if you're going to use that option, please make sure that you sign the forms in time so the registration desk can get them to me. If you're interested in running, your nominator must be a delegate. At 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon, we will be doing formal nominations for all the positions. And I just also want to remind you that tomorrow at 4 o'clock, when convention has adjourned for the day, there'll be an all-candidates forum. And it should take between 60 to 90 minutes. We've allotted 90 minutes for the event. We want to make sure that all of our candidates at least are able to answer a few questions for you. And Kevin Rebeck, who is our president of the Mantua Federation of Labour, will be moderating that event for us. And I would encourage you to submit questions that you'd like your candidates and others in the room who are candidates to answer. There is forms for questions at the registration desk, and there's a box where you can place your question in. Okay? Some members have asked about, after the candidates forum tomorrow, when do we get back to the hotel? The shuttle buses tomorrow will start picking you up and taking you back to the hotel after the all candidates forum. So that will be at 5:30 is when the first shuttle bus is scheduled to go back. And then I just have a couple of announcements, you guys. Important reminder, we are a scent-free and nut-free environment, so for the consideration and health of others, please be respectful of that and refrain from wearing scented products and no nuts on the floor if you're going to have a snack or something. And I also want to mention to you that in your resolutions book, there is a page numbering error, and I can tell you what that is, but I will also say to you that as the committee chairs are going through the resolutions, they will reference the resolution by the number of the resolution. So I don't believe the page number is going to be an issue, but for those of you that want to make reference to it, the membership education actually begins on page 224. Pension and benefits is 228. And safety and health is page 231. So it's off by one number everywhere. Also, for those of you who are planning to attend either the Women's Forum or the Young Members Caucus, there's a change in the room. The Women's Luncheon is going to be in 2H on Friday, and then the Young Members Caucus 2H on Saturday. Expense forms are also in your binder. By the way, I'm almost done. And you'll notice that on your name tag, yours looks different than mine, but there's a barcode, and that's, we record your attendance. So every morning when you come in, and then every afternoon after lunch, you have to have your barcode scanned. This is in response to the attendance policy that the MGEU adopted a few years ago. It appears on page 56, again, in our policy manual. And so you need to scan in at both times, and so that you're credited with your attendance. And it's important to remember again that your attendance is important so that, because if you're not here, pursuant to the policy, no reimbursement will be made for wage recovery, mileage, meals, or hotel. Having said that, we all know that emergencies and unexpected events occur. If for some reason you aren't able to check in for a period of time because an emergency has occurred, please talk to my colleagues, either Jean-Guy or Sheila, and let them know what the issue or event that has occurred, and then they'll help you figure out what we need to do about that. Okay? Tonight, there's a candidates reception. It starts at 9 p.m. It's in the Wellington Ballroom at the Fairmont. I encourage you folks to attend and be able to meet and talk with your candidates informally. Friday at 11 o'clock is when your T-shirts are going to be handed out. Well, that's when they'll start handing them out. So if you have any other announcements that you need the group to know about over the course of the next few days, please leave them at the registration desk, and then whoever is chairing will announce them for you. So I made a joke about raising your hands to vote, and I'm going to tell you why, for those of you who haven't been here before. You all should have gotten one of these, a clicker. It looks kind of like a remote control. It'll be in your package. Can I ask everybody to get them out? It's like a Christmas gift, isn't it? Okay, so we are going to be using these for voting on all committee recommendations, motions, and resolutions at convention. And we want to make sure everybody's comfortable using these devices, so we're going to do a little demo here. You're going to have an actual question to answer, so if everybody's got theirs ready. We're going to do a practice vote. And if you have any trouble, raise your hand. We've got extra folks on the floor this year to offer assistance if anybody's having any difficulty. So step 1, turn it on by pushing 1A. Okay, and it's pretty straightforward to vote. When a question appears on the screen and it'll be clearly indicated, you press the appropriate button on the clicker that corresponds with the choice, your choice. So in this case, the trial question is, are you a first-time delegate to this convention? The yes voters should press 1 for yes, and the no voters 2 for no. You can submit your response, so let's say you accidentally pushed 1 and you meant to push 2. You can change it. This will record the last button you chose. So if you pushed 1 and you meant to push 2 and then you pushed 2, 2's your answer. You're done. There's a finite amount, a strict amount of time within which you can change your mind. You can't change your mind 10 minutes later. It's a few seconds later. But there is opportunity for you to make a change. If you are not getting a green... Has everybody answered the question yet? Yeah? How many people? Okay. If you're not getting a green light, push your response again. And if no green light comes on after that second time, put your hand up so somebody come and help you. Yes, it will stay on.
It stays on?
It stays.
I don't think so.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Okay, there is way too many hands. I suspect that I was too slow in my explanation, by the way. JP? Sorry. With the indulgence of the delegates, I'd like to invite JP, who's our technical expert, onto the convention floor.
Woohoo! Welcome, JP.
You were so close. You had
Really?
it perfectly. It was just the light doesn't stay on. It flashes green. So it's going to flash green, and then that's how you know. So I think we only
Okay.
had
I've
one.
answered 3 times.
Okay, sorry, folks.
Nope, it's good.
Okay, so everybody's good? Can we post the results? Oh, we have to get JP back to his desk. Ta-da! Okay, so we have 53% of our delegates here are first time. And I'll just clarify with you guys, congratulations and welcome to all of our new delegates. All of our responses will show up in percentage points, not how many people voted. We will know how many people voted. That shows up on the screen too in a teeny tiny little box. But the percentages are what is highlighted for you because when we vote, motions are passed by either a simple majority, so 50% plus 1, or for constitution resolutions, we have to have 2/3, so 66% or more. So this is for the ease of the room and the chairperson to know whether or not the motion has been successfully passed. Can we try one more question? And the light is not staying on. Okay. Would you like to receive a text message from the union about things like meetings, events, and rallies? More complicated now. We got 4 choices. 1, yes for please. Yes, please. 2, for no, I prefer email for that info. 3, for send me a letter instead. Or 4, I'd like to, but don't have reliable mobile services where I live. I don't see any hands up, so far so good. Okay, let's post the results. Wow, email, all righty. Well, thanks, folks. That concludes the demo. And at this point, I would like to introduce the Credentials Committee. So could I ask Debbie Jamerson to stand, Carol Reimer, and Amanda Russell? Thank you. 1, 2. Oh, there we go. Thank you very much. And could I ask the Credentials Committee to present their first report to the delegates? Speaker at mic 1. I've always wanted to say that.
Cheryl Reimer, Local 69, University College of the North. I'm here to give the credentials report. Board and delegates, 337. Guests and honorary life members, 15. Observers and media, 7.
And you're moving that?
And I'd like to make a motion to move that, yes.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Speaker at mic 4.
Deb Jamerson, Local 26. Gotta figure this out. And I second that motion.
Thanks. All in favor? All in favor?
Are we pressing the button?
Press 1. Oh, I lied. That's the third time you've had to raise your hands. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm not doing very well here, but all right. Okay, so thank you very much to the Credentials Committee. And just before I turn it back to Michelle, because she's going to do the president's thing, we have a treat for you guys. Every convention, our communications department produces a short video featuring our members in their workplace. I always think it's awesome because you can look around and see if you're in it or some of your colleagues, and I think it's a perfect way to kick off convention. So anyways, our theme this year is Public Service Proud, and I think this showcases it beautifully. So thanks very much and have a great evening.
go any further, before I get a point of privilege, I'm going to see, I did notice some folks that were covering their ears. Is it way too loud totally, or was it just the music?
No, it's not bad when you guys are talking. It started out terrible. It's better now.
Oh.
But as soon as you run any music, it just knocks us right out of our seats in this whole section. I don't know whether it's the angle of the speaker or whether it's the volume. It's outrageous. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's good to know. And actually, I was noticing people covering their ears. So, with the technical. Oh, brother, I ain't going to say that up here. And actually, it does feel like I'm echoing a little bit. So maybe we can bring it down just a touch. Would definitely appreciate that. Thank you, Janet, for running through all of the rules and how we're going to go and making sure that convention's just going to go tickety smooth. That's what I'm looking for. Before I move on, I do want to acknowledge Brother Larry Brown, and I believe he is back in the room. Brother Larry is our national president from our National Union of Public General Employees. Thank you so very much, Larry, for joining us here today. And I have another brother that's with us, near and dear to me, is Brother Bert Blunden from NAPE, from Newfoundland, Labrador, Newfoundland. So thank you very much for joining us here today. And after the wonderful video, I do want to thank our communication team. I know the amount of work that they go into and the heart and soul that they pour in to making sure that the communication that goes out to you folks, the pictures, the videos, the emails, the blogging, everything that happens out there, they do everything they possibly can to make it the best it can be. And they outdo themselves every year, showcasing our members, the work that we do, the services that we do. So if we could please give a round of applause and actually a standing ovation, folks. Let's give them a standing ovation, please. Woo-hoo! Very much appreciated, and I'll tell you, they definitely make the MGEU and us look really good. As members, we can be very proud. So with that, I am now going to go into the President's address, which is our report to you to be able to tell you what we've been doing over the last couple of years. So again, brothers and sisters, good evening. I'd say that the video was a perfect way to start us off. We are very proud of who we are and the services that we provide. It gives you all a glimpse of what I've had the privilege of experiencing time and time again over the last 6 years. Our membership, hard at work, keeping Manitoba going and growing. Because I have to tell you, visiting work sites where I get to learn directly from you, my fellow members, about what you do and why it's so important is the most energizing part of my job, hands down. Seeing the pride members take in their work, listening to your concerns and your insights keeps the fire burning in my belly. It reminds us of why we're here, what we're fighting for, because these days, the fight can be pretty daunting. Certainly, when it comes to our current provincial government, the last couple of years have felt like one attack after another on us MGEU members and the vital services that we provide. So tonight, I am hoping to not only stir up that fire in all of us, but to share with you how we as MGEU members continue to build our union into a force to be reckoned with. But first, I look out across this room and you know what I see? I see countless hours of effort and commitment and worry. You're all here because you care. And if we're a force today, it's because of members like you here tonight, our board of directors, our staff, and our elected local leaders. Earlier in the day, I had the privilege to meet some of you first-time new delegates at the new delegate training. And first, I would like to ask all of you that are from brand new locals to please stand for us. The new locals that have joined us in the last 6 months or so, in the last year. Okay, they might not be in the room. I have a feeling they might be a little bit. There. We've got some awesome folks in the back of the room with us. So thank you very much for joining us here today. And now I know there's a number in here. We've got a number of new delegates that are attending convention for the first time, so please stand if this is your first MGEU convention. Woohoo! That's what makes a union proud and strong. Awesome. Welcome, welcome, and take a good look around you. Gathered here is the heartbeat of our union. After all my travels over these last 2 years, visiting locals across this province, experiencing the incredible diversity of our union, I have to tell you, it is incredible to stand here and look out over the strength in this room. These are challenging times, and this room is full of our strength. So let's start here. For our unions today, strength is important, but it's not enough. We need to be smart, too. We need a well-thought-out foundation to sustain and nourish that strength. And since last convention, your leadership has done just that. In the year 3 of the board's 5-year strategic plan, we've continued asking ourselves the tough questions and making sure we have the capacity to meet the challenges head on. Here's a bit of an example. Every spring, we survey our members, and for the last few years, the results have been downright inspiring. Members are more satisfied with their union than ever before, satisfied with their staff reps, their stewards, and for the first time, on how we communicate with them. And again, hats off to our communication group. But our members are deeply worried, too. Most of us expect we'll be negatively impacted in some way by the government's actions in the next few years. So at the elected board level, we now have the Risk and Strategy Committee with members appointed by the MGEU officers. Those on the committee are charged with focusing on the big picture, identifying threats and opportunities, not on an annual basis, but 2 or 3 years out. At the operational level, we've continued to build our capacity for launching campaigns that engage as many members as possible, and to get me out there in the media as much as possible to be able to share our stories and our concerns. These days, if an employer's decision, good or bad, is impacting our members, you can count on hearing from us loud and clear. So, strong and smart, that's what we want. It's also important to stay focused, which is why our plan originates around 3 key pillars of activity: bargaining, organizing, and campaigning. That's what we do, folks. Over the last 2 years, everyone on our MGEU team has been working incredibly hard in each of these areas, responding to challenges, making sure the people are in the right place at the right time. We're getting her done. And I have to say, looking back as I put together these notes, I was a bit astounded at the sheer volume of work to report on. Maybe that's why doing this kind of review is important to all of us. Reporting to you, the members, is so important. When we're so under the gun, it's easy to jump onto the next thing and to forget what we've accomplished, what we've learned, and what we're capable of. So our first pillar, bargaining. Just after the last convention, about 30 members of Local 367, a personal care home near Thompson, went on strike. It was late November, and please forgive me if I butcher this. I'm going to do my best. Nashikiwetzik, the Cree Nation. It was bitterly, bitterly cold. We had members who are not exactly young anymore, with pins in their knees, walking the line each and every day. It was about fairness. These members, who provide around-the-clock care to the elderly in their community, were being paid $4 an hour less than any others doing the same work in any other areas of Manitoba, even though they had the same level of training. Shame. After 2 weeks, the employer came back with an offer that was a good step towards closing the gap, along with a commitment to work with us to secure the necessary federal funds to achieve full parity. The members felt good about the outcome. It was a good win for them. It was a good win for all of us. Now, in past years, talking about a group that went out on strike would probably be featured as the biggest fight we faced between conventions. But not this time. Things got a lot tougher. A lot tougher from there. For thousands and thousands of you, this round of bargaining has proven to be the most confusing, frustrating, and anxiety-inducing since the 1990s. And our union's response has taken every bit of leadership and solidarity we can marshal, every tool in our toolbox, every ounce of stubborn commitment to ensure each and every MGEU member gets the fairest deal possible. In the spring of 2017, the government announced its Public Services Sustainability Act, better known to us as Bill 28. Just like that, well over half of our members were informed that for the next few years, their union would not be able to sit down and negotiate wages with their employer. Instead, wages would be frozen. From the outset, it was clear that Bill 28 was bigger than us, but that we were the biggest. As Manitoba's largest union, we have the leadership role to play in bringing together the public sector bargaining units through our presence on the MFL board and executive. That fall, I was joined by dozens of fellow members, labour leaders, and concerned Manitobans to argue for alternatives to Bill 28 at the legislative hearings. Shortly after, MFL President Kevin Rebeck announced that a coalition of us, the Partnership to Defend Public Services, would be filing a constitutional challenge, the bill. Bill 28 is unfair, unconstitutional, and fundamentally undermines our collective bargaining rights. In May of 2018, we also filed an injunction to stop the bill. This would give us some breathing room, meaning Bill 28 could not become law until we had our day in court. But we knew winning the injunction would be a challenge, and sure enough, we weren't successful. Were we disappointed? Hell yes. Does it feel sometimes like using the legal options at our disposal means waiting and waiting and waiting some more? Yes, it does. But we remain confident in our position as we move forward with the constitutional challenge. Will it mean you see the increase you deserve this year? Unfortunately not. But as much as these kinds of fights try our patience, it's essential that we not give up. That's what the Pallister government is banking on. They want us to blink. And this stubborn president says, over my dead body. Thank you. God knows it's not easy, but strength means being able to go the distance. Which brings me to another government thorn in our side right now when it comes to bargaining, Bill 29. After last convention, well over a dozen MGEU healthcare bargaining committees began working diligently to hold their proposal meetings and prepare their packages, only to be told by the government in the spring of 2017, no, you're not going to the bargaining table. Not only are we going to overwhelm you with cuts and changes to your workplaces, we're going to mess around with your bargaining units too. Why, you might ask? There's two possible answers. A, to fix a problem that doesn't exist, or B, to pit healthcare unions against each other so they can push through freezes and cuts while we're too busy to fight back. My guess is it's B. But as far as bargaining is concerned, we're mostly concerned with the when right now. When will the bill be proclaimed? When will the votes be scheduled? When can we start bargaining already? But we got nowhere with this government. They call in the presidents of each of the healthcare unions to meet with government officials, and then they leave us with more questions than answers every time, which is pretty much where we're still at today. And if it's frustrating for those of us at those meetings, I know it's 10 times worse for those of you waiting for a new contract. That fall, we held a telemeeting with nearly 8,000 healthcare support service members to share what we knew about bargaining timelines and to respond to their questions as best we could. Communicating, even when we don't have all the answers, is so important. By the end of the year, with no negotiations scheduled and no new answers for our members, we had enough. In early of 2018, the MGEU filed an unfair labour practice complaint with the Manitoba Labour Board, accusing 26 employers of failing to negotiate a good faith or make a reasonable efforts to renew collective agreements. A few months later, just days before our scheduled hearing with the Labour Board, the bill was finally proclaimed. Finally, the unions were given our first real answers about the vote, its timeline, and its impact on bargaining since Bill 29 was announced a full year before. That day, I told the Free Press that every dollar and every moment that the government put into the pointless reshuffling process could and should be put into protecting and improving patient care. Bill 29 was a done deal, but Manitobans deserve to know what's really going on. Because even when we can't prevent wrong decisions being made, it remains vitally important to remind Manitobans of the alternative, to remain true to what our members stand for, and to not blink. And we will not blink. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. We must be steadfast. After months and months, we're finally getting this close to addressing wage inequity issues at Westman Lab. Finally. The Community Support Bargaining Committee continues to pore over proposals and put together their package. In November, we've scheduled over 50 civil service bargaining proposal meetings across the province. Just last month, after nearly a year at the table, our members at Assiniboine and Red River College rejected a final offer from their employer. Employment security and instructor workload remains the key stumbling blocks for them. Canadian Blood Services just recently rejected an offer too. Both bargaining committees hope to head back to the table soon, but at this point, it's important these members know that we've got their backs, and we do, brothers and sisters. We've got your backs. These days, it's important for all of us to know that if need be, we can go the distance, and we will. We have proven it before. While devoting significant resources to defending our members over the past 2 years, we've also ensured that our defense fund continues to grow. As of July 31, 2018, we've got over $32 million in savings, ready for whenever we need it for the fight. And thanks to a resolution from last convention, the board recently voted to increase strike pay from $200 to $300 per week. But as you all know, defending our members' rights doesn't begin and end at the bargaining table or the picket line. An agreement only works if both sides live up to it. So over and over again since last convention, the MGEU made it clear to employers that we will hold them to account. In late 2016, we won a long grievance battle involving overtime pay for part-time correctional officers. Those of you in corrections will know that this is the case of the missing 4 hours. Congratulations to you for standing strong. The ruling resulted in back pay to over 1,000 part-time members, a clear example of what we can do when we work together and we don't give up. Later that year, you may recall, plenty of media coverage of the Respectful Workplace grievance launched on behalf of our local 911 paramedics. In the end, the grievance went to arbitration, and the arbitrator agreed that Fire Paramedic Chief John Lane had indeed breached respectful workplace policies. He ordered compensation for over 350 members and gave pointed direction for improving what was clearly a toxic workplace culture. Hats off to our paramedics. I know they're in the room somewhere. I just haven't spotted them. In early 2018, we used an article in our Winnipeg Home Care Agreement to challenge the current level of contracting out of our home care services. We've now moved this grievance to arbitration, and we look forward to the fight. We also filed a respectful workplace grievance on behalf of our members at the Victoria Hospital, who had to go through job losses and department closures with far too little communication from management. We're hopeful we'll make some headway in both of these cases, but honestly, these days, we can't stop there, which takes us to our second pillar, organizing. Even with all the challenges facing our current membership these days, it remains so important to continue to reach out and grow. All Manitobans deserve the bargaining power and the security of a collective agreement. And for the MGEU, growth and diversity have been a key to our success. I'm proud today to say since last convention, we have organized 12 new locals. We have welcomed Donwood Manor, End Homelessness in Winnipeg, the Paw Regional Library, and I'm going to butcher this, Les Tournesol de Saint-Vital, the WRHA Public Health Specialist, Anna Maniki Child and Family Services, Manitoba Arts Council, Assiniboine Early Learning Centre, Duke of Marlborough School up in Churchill, Rod McGilvery Memorial Care Home in the Paw, Kaimisaya, thank you. That's the one. Can you say that? Awesome. Thank you so very much, brother. The agency and our Canadian base operators in Portage. Way to go, Bree, our organizer. But if we're to be a strong, smart, and steadfast union, organizing involves so much more than this wonderful list of new recruits. These days, it's not enough to be strong. We must be able to demonstrate our strength and our powers of public persuasion. And that means as many MGEU members as possible must be engaged. We must all understand what's at stake. We must all be ready and able to stand up. We must continue to organize the organized. And I'm proud to say, I think we've made tremendous strides here over the last few years. Over the last 18 months, for instance, we went back to the very beginning. Combining the input of elected leadership and staff, we reviewed our current new member orientation practices, and we came up with a plan to do better. As of this fall, we will have a number of orientation tools available, all with 3 key areas of focus. 1, ensuring new hires fill out an MGEU application form ASAP, because if a member is not in our database, we have no way to communicate or engage with them. 2, ensuring new hires have a record of who their union contacts are if they need them. And 3, ensuring new hires know how to learn more about their union anytime. We've also put an initiative in place to reach out to RAN members, those who aren't new, but for one reason or another never filled that all-important membership form. An up-to-date database is crucial for letting our members know what is going on in our union. And with our ability to email the weekly e-news, the 5-minute update to post regularly on the MGEU Facebook page, members tell us they're happy and feel more informed than ever. This is fantastic, but it's not the whole picture. Our databases are now a big part of how we can actively engage members and call them to action. Since last convention, our online activist community has grown to nearly 500, allowing us to get the word out and spur our members into action. Hey, did you know that there's a rally at the Vic Hospital or at St. Boniface College? Come out and support your fellow members. Hey, we're demonstrating at the Ledge to protect our pensions. Come join us. Hey, your union just launched a new campaign to highlight the dangers of privatizing our public services. Share this shareable now. We were able to send out over 30 messages like this to engage members over the last couple of years. And again, it's about being smart. Harnessing the ways of technology and social media can help us connect and mobilize. And here's a great example. Through our member survey, we know that most members are concerned that this government would do something negative to affect their pension within the next 5 years. And they were right. Early in 2018, the Pallister government began making noises about pension changes. So we immediately organized a telemeeting featuring Samantha Probitz, our pension specialist. We gave every member in our database the opportunity to participate by phone, inviting them to ask questions and share their thoughts for the proposed changes. And lo and behold, just shortly as the telemarketing was set to start, our finance minister of the time, Cam Friesen, posted a video online where he vowed not to touch the current pension plans. We did it, folks. In fact, they knew enough of what we were doing and worried enough about what we were doing. He even mentioned in his video that President Gronsky was holding a town hall meeting. I appreciate him knowing that. They watch us very, very closely. The pension result was more than we even hoped for. Mission accomplished, at least for now. So I'm pleased to tell you that we're harnessing the power of the digital universe, Okay, I'm not anybody that knows me. No. Our communication folks have stepped up, and they really are doing it for us. But you will probably not be surprised to hear me say that there's nothing, absolutely nothing, like members coming together in the same room, maybe sharing some food, some concerns, some ideas, face to face. It's the best way to communicate. It may be old school, but I believe this is central to building a truly organized and mobilized membership. Face-to-face communication has been a major focus of our union over the last couple of years. We welcomed more women members than ever to our expanded women's conference in Brandon. We expanded our meeting space in Thompson office. We held province-wide Public Service Week events to personally meet members who had never attended a local meeting. We hosted province-wide activist appreciation dinners to personally thank those who stepped up to the plate and to hopefully inspire you to carry on. Now, if any of you are connected with me on Facebook, you'll also know that I've spent just a wee bit of time on the road. And because MGEU goes beyond the perimeter, it is great to be out there and meeting members everywhere that we live and breathe and work. As I said earlier, meeting directly with members in their workplaces, in your workplaces, is truly one of the highlights of the job for me. Touring a campground while one of our park attendants describes the impact of cuts. Going over schedules with members of Rod McGilvery Personal Care Home, our newest MGEU local in the PAW, talking about where the problems are. Meeting over lunch to discuss the complex issues facing our Winnipeg Child and Family Service members. While on the road, I also made a point of attending local meetings wherever they've been, having trouble getting quorum or even electing an executive, and we have managed to get an executive together. I truly believe this kind of ongoing connection between our union's leadership and our members is essential in this political climate, because coming together in solidarity and going the distance takes commitment, and it's hard to feel committed without feeling that connection first. Which brings me to our third pillar, campaigns. Here's the thing. It's not enough anymore to just buy some ad time and educate the public. We must be able to quickly mobilize around an issue and then find ways to show our strength and make some real noise. And we must also be able to sustain that energy, because so many of our fights these days are for the long haul. So how do we do that exactly? Plenty of Timmies, that'd be one way. All joking aside, this is where a strategic plan comes into place. Our plan reminds us that all good campaigns include, 1, the mobilization of our members. We need you. 2, public engagement. The public needs to believe and support us. They need to know that they need us. And 3, coalition building. Here's an example. Back in early of 2017, it became pretty clear that Premier Pallister was not going to keep his election promises. So we produced a submission to government that showed how you could tackle the provincial deficit without sacrificing public services. We did the math, showed them a way using their numbers, and then I argued for those recommendations in the media every chance I got. We trained activists to help us present our recommendations at pre-budget hearings. Back in the fall, around the time of last convention, we ramped up the Keep Us Together campaign to remind Manitobans how valuable public services really are in our everyday lives. So in the new year, we built on that same message, creating new radio and online ads that spoke directly to Pallister's broken promises. I can't count the number of times I repeated to reporters that election promise of his. I will provide and protect the services Manitobans rely on, and to protect those that provide them. Horseshit. And remember, sorry, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. And remember that online activist community I just mentioned? It doesn't just include MGEU members. It includes our allies and supporters, and we ask these folks to help us get the message out. Please share this shareable. Help us send a fax to the Premier, since he can't use email in Costa Rica. Remember that one? That's true, his wife's phone. Poor Esther. By the spring, however, drastic government cuts and changes to health care began to make headlines and impact our membership big time. So our next major campaign, Care Comes First, really began to take shape. Yes, we produced a fantastic TV ad featuring our members of the healthcare team. We put up billboards too, but we did more than that. In September of 2017, we held a rally on the steps of the legislature. I wanted 1,000, I asked for 1,000, and by God, we got 1,000 people at the ledge that day. In fact, we had over 1,000 that joined us that day. Biggest rally since 1996. So how did we do that? By leveraging our members from every component in this union who just happened to be holding a meeting that day at the convention center here. And by calling on our fellow unions and other groups to supportive of investing in rather than cutting our public health care services. Many of you were probably there. It was the first time we used a photo booth as a creative way to get our message out. Pick up a sign, pose for a photo, and then share the pic with family and friends. That way, if someone didn't hear about Care Comes First on the news, they might notice us on Facebook. The campaign has been going strong in one way or another ever since, and it's made an impact. I believe our constant Care Comes First messaging has resonated with Manitobans, forcing the Pallister government to ease up on the pace of changes to public health care. In early 1918, when the government began talking, let me rephrase that. In early 2018, when the government began to talk of, I wonder if that was déjà vu. I happened to be there in 1918. No. When the government began to talk of magically transforming our civil service, we knew it was time for another go at Keep Us Together. We created a new TV and online ads pointing out how small cuts here and there add up to a big loss of services for Manitobans. We made sure our members were part of the pre-budget conversation. We did lots of media, and once again we engaged our members, allies and supporters to spread our message as far and wide as possible. Around this time, it also became very clear that the government was no longer content creeping around, contracting out on the side. At first, for instance, when it came to home care, it was an announcement here, a request for a proposal there. And since the government cut hospital home teams and started talking about enhanced home care, quote unquote, the MGEU, shame. The MGEU has publicly questioned at least 10 times in the media what those creeping changes to our public home care system really meant. By the way, we're still waiting for an answer. But by spring of 2018, the government made it clear they were going to begin blatantly exploring privatization in other areas. So we produced new TV and online ads. We were reminding Manitobans of something very important. When public assets are sold to the highest bidder, it is very, very difficult for Manitobans to get those public assets back. Again, though, a good commercial is not enough. We also tailored campaigns to mobilize as many Manitobans as possible around the services at risk. Take our government air services, for example. First thing we did was to consult with the membership, talk to the people that live and breathe it. They maintained that there was no way a private company could run government air services cheaper without some loss to services or a threat to the safety of Manitobans. But that's easy for them to say, right? It's their job, after all. It's their jobs on the line. So we decided to commission an independent researchers to assess whether there was merit to what they claimed and to produce a report, which was published in the free press and shared as widely as possible through our online networks. The result? The government is still accepting business proposals, but the tender is now very defined. The successful company must be able to demonstrate it can cut costs without any loss of services or risk to public safety. And here's the kicker. In our last round of civil service bargaining, we negotiated a memorandum which allows us to put forward our own proposal, and the government must consider it. Sometimes it pays to have been around a few years. So that's exactly what we're doing. And here's another example. When the government announced they would be selling off our provincial tree nursery, we spoke with members and their contacts in the area. Cabin season was upon us, and so we decided to put up a billboard on the highway near Pineland while starting an online petition. The result? To date, we've got over 1,400 signatures in support of keeping Pineland and the future of our forests a public service. And if you haven't already signed, it's not too late. Please do so. It's so important to them and to us. Of course, even with the most perfect campaign in place, we're not always going to win the day. Despite our board members heading out to Brandon to give blood, despite solid media coverage, despite an active online campaign, we could not convince Canadian Blood Services to keep their Brandon clinic open. Despite similar efforts, the government still decided to close the Family Services offices in Killarney. However, each and every time, it is important that we do all that we can to fight. We held a very successful rally at the Vic Hospital, but some of our members were still laid off. We keep fighting, though, and many have been re-employed, and others are now selecting positions from the new health units, mental health units that have been consolidated at the Vic. We fought for each and every member to have a job at the end of the day, and by God, they will. But the story doesn't end there. We're still speaking up on their behalf every time the government announces some new health care change or cut. And let me tell you, over the next year or two, I'm sure there's going to be a few. Thanks to Bill 29, we may be stuck in an extended series of representation votes that we don't like and did not choose. But we are raring to show healthcare workers what we've got. MGEU is the union for you. Our staff reps and our local activists continue to work hard to make sure our service track record in all of our workplaces is second to none. Thanks to what we know about good campaigns, we are the only union entering these votes with a true team of elected activists and professional staff. I'm very proud of that. We are working together to win, and win we will. Internally, we are as prepared as we can be. To win those votes, though, it's not enough to be strong and smart. We have to be able to show it. And that's why Care Comes First was established early and will remain our flagship as the votes proceed. And we will continue as Manitoba's largest union to actively and persistently speak up publicly wherever and whenever possible. Again, this is where a plan really helps. Over the last few years, we have put into place the organizational capacity to get out in front of issues. I'm pointing at you, our public affairs team. We don't just respond anymore. The media looks to us for our stories. For example, in early of 2017, we didn't just run ad campaign about how skills matter when it came to EMS. We also took the lead in speaking out in the media about why self-regulation of the paramedic profession is the way to go. When the province was reviewing its workers' compensation policies, we of course submitted our recommendations to the review committee. But we also published an op-ed in the Free Press that explained those recommendations to Manitobans. And here's an example of a typical month when it comes to media. In March of 2017, we commented publicly on a Frontier Centre report that said Manitobans spend way too much on their public services. The eliminations of hospital home teams, job cuts at Assiniboine community colleges, government changes to the Election Act, and our MGEU policy paper recommending public marijuana sales. Last month, it was everything from bed closures at Milner Ridge to liquor store thefts, to how the meth crisis is leaving our security officers and Manitobans in general way too vulnerable. In each of these cases, it's not enough to say, oh yes, thanks for your call, we think that's bad. We need to let the public know what our members see as issues and the solutions. We live and breathe this. Yes, we are a non-partisan union, but more than ever today, we are a political force. The media started calling us the official opposition. Others look to us for leadership, and that's a good thing. The MGEU is in the news on a daily basis, speaking out for members, for public services, for all Manitobans. And we hear not just from members, but from other regular Manitobans who thank us for doing what we're doing, who tell us they're behind us and our campaigns. Manitobans actually stop me in stores and restaurants just to say thank you and keep up the good work, folks. This hasn't happened by accident, though. It's because of the dedication and commitment of our members, staff, and activists, because our board has provided strong leadership and made campaigns a priority. As an organization with strong roots in communities across this province, we're also putting money where our mouth is. When our members in Churchill were struggling with the rail closure, the MGEU donated $1,000 to the school breakfast program and hosted a gathering to let members know we were fully behind them. Through our humanitarian fund, we're helping transform the infamous Merchants Hotel into a beacon of hope for Winnipeg's inner city. The new Merchants Corner will feature 30 affordable housing units, a community cafe, and 3 classrooms. We're also in the forefront of celebrating the Centennial of 1919 General Strike this coming year. It's so important for all of us as Manitobans to be reminded that we are a living legacy set by the blood, sweat, and tears of those who came before us. The rights we have on the job today did not come easily. They certainly didn't happen overnight. They are not a given, and they're certainly not guaranteed. But the thing is, all of you here in this room tonight, you're no longer just union members or workplace activists. Just by being here, you're part of a larger movement, the labor movement. And the thing about labor movements is they are bigger than us. When times get tough for us as union members, this is important to remember. Sometimes we're winning the battle, and sometimes we're just fighting the war. Either way, you are part of a union that is up to the task to take a lead in our province's labor legacy. Strong, smart, steadfast. That's us, and we can be proud. And I can't tell you how privileged I feel tonight to roll up my sleeves and get to work with all of you in the room tonight. Thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you to you. Thank you for that. I can tell you I'm very, very honored every day and very humbled every day when I go out and walk amongst you and talk to you and share in your issues and your concerns and your hurt and your fears. I'm very proud to be a part of that, and you should all be very proud of the fact that you put your lives on hold for a couple of days to ensure that our union stays the strongest it can be. Solidarity forever, folks. So with that, I believe we have come to the end of this evening's agenda. We're going to be here bright and early at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Bring your resolutions book with you. We will be ready in your clickers. We will be prepared to go with that. And with that, we have the all candidates evening back at the Fairmont Hotel, I believe in the Wellington room, right? So everyone is welcome to join us for a couple of hours to be able to talk, share, and some solidarity together. Thank you, brothers and sisters. See you soon. We have a question. Yes, we can. So, folks, if you'd like to leave your items here, you are more than welcome to. It is secure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.